What do we make of the uptick in these kinds of incidents? I mean, on the one hand, it's probably a good thing for our democracy that we are talking about it more, that we are engaged about these things. On the other hand, we're seeing a lot of it. And I mean, granted, we have the cameras, so we can see a lot of it. But like, what do we make of this at this point? Josh?
Yeah, it's healthy to have these types of conversations, but in our age of social media, it's much too easy to react sometimes violently before we know all the facts about these cases. And you look at the politics, but behind uh, these issues, especially in North Carolina, one of the most pivotal states on the electoral map this year. It's North Carolina is as racially polarized of a state as we've seen it. The protests and the violence took place in the heart of downtown Charlotte, as opposed to some of the other riots that took place in more of the inner city core of those cities or areas. So this is, I mean, I'm going to be fascinated to see how the politics in North Carolina are going to shift as a result of the issue in the last couple weeks. Because what I've talking to Democratic and Republican pollsters in recent days, the African American vote is more energized and even more overwhelmingly in favor of Democratic candidates. But the white vote, the white suburban vote in particular, is starting to tilt a little bit more towards Republicans in the wake of these incidences.
Cheryl?
So I think we should be clear about whether or not there is an uptick. I mean, I think we don't know if there's an uptick in police shootings because there aren't really any good long-term data. And civil rights advocates and African Americans Black Lives Matter folks will tell you that the reason we think there's an uptick or that appears that there's an uptick is simply because we have all these videos and it's recorded. I'm here to tell you that as a young reporter in the LA Times, I covered the aftermath of the Rodney King beating. And so that was more than 20 years ago. These issues have been around for a long time. And what Black Lives Matter activists like DeRay McKesson and others will say is that basically they're just, we now have the evidence to show what's happening and to bring the issue to the fore to force police departments and politicians to address it.